Nordstrom stock moving to the downside after reporting Q3 earnings. The company did report a beat on the top and bottom line. So let's bring in David Swartz, Morningstar equity analyst, for more on this. So, David, we're seeing the stock moving to the downside. I think in terms of full year forecast, that seems to be what people were focusing on. They reaffirmed that August guidance. People seem to be looking for a beat and a raise here.
Yeah, it could be, maybe so, but it looked like the sales are really in line with expectations. There may have been some one-time cost, it appears, an asset impairment charge that affected the bottom line. But, I think that this is actually a positive report. It looked like Nordstrom Rack had better numbers, only slightly down. I expected Nordstrom Rack to be down about 10% in sales. And also at the full-line stores, looked like also an improvement over some of the numbers that we've seen. Still down, though, so that's a negative. People would like to see a positive number out of Nordstrom. But, I think that perhaps this negative reaction is unwarranted.
David, that's interesting because I was searching at the numbers. I was trying to figure out what was causing this drop that we are seeing in extended trading right now. I want to ask you about inventory levels and what we heard from Nordstrom in this report, saying that they are right-sizing their inventory levels and on track to end 2022 in a healthy position. How do you compare that to what we've heard from so many others in the retail space? And I guess, how do you view their inventory position heading into the final month of the year?
I don't think it's that bad. I mean, we've seen a lot of retailers with very high inventories, some quite a bit worse than Nordstrom. Even this morning, Dick's Sporting Goods, for example, their inventory was up 35% from last year. But Dick's really felt like they've got that under control, and I'm hearing that from other companies too. We are seeing a big increase in inventory levels. That's due both to units, but also higher costs from last year. But, we will see sell-through during the holiday season, as we usually do, and that will bring down inventories. And so I think it's really not a big concern for next year.
And so what do you attribute this negative reaction to? There are a few data points that didn't blow people out of the water, but you mentioned that this does seem to be a more negative reaction than expected.
Well, the operating margin is still quite low. I mean, we want to see Nordstrom's operating margin closer to 6%, instead of 4%. And so, I think people are still looking at Nordstrom as a retailer that has a lot of work to do to get back to really where it should be. And so people are nervous, that the business is not turning around faster. Nordstrom did not turn around as quickly from the pandemic closures as a lot of other stores. And if you look at this report compared to, for example, Macy's, Macy's had a stronger report last week in general. And Macy's really has done better this year throughout the year. And so I think maybe people are comparing Nordstrom with Macy's, as well as some other retailers, like, for example, yesterday, Urban Outfitters reported a pretty strong report, and their outlook was also positive. And so I think that people are looking for more from Nordstrom, even though these numbers are really not that different than what people expected.
David, as we stand today, we're right around $21 a share. You have a fair value target of $42 a share on Nordstrom. What's going to get us there?
Yeah, I think Nordstrom is quite undervalued. I think people are looking at sort of the recent results and saying that Nordstrom is challenged. And although Nordstrom has been struggling a little bit, this is still a solid company. It's still the leader really in luxury retail in the U.S. It's by far the biggest luxury department store. And I don't think that's changed. And I still think there's a market for that. And Nordstrom has a lot of advantages. They've got a lot of loyalty members, over 13 million. Most of their stores, the full-line stores, are in A malls. And the Nordstrom Rack, I think has been struggling. But this report looks a little bit better than I expected. And so maybe they're starting to turn around Nordstrom Rack, which I think, will help perception that this is, both a company with a strong full-price business, but also a strong off-price business, too.
All right, David Swartz, always great to have you at Morningstar. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.